Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. One thing that I don't understand is why so many Africans have disdain for Black Americans to the point now that Black Americans, many Black Americans, don't want to have anything to do with Africans, don't want to even identify with Africans. It might appear that Black Americans are exaggerating or that, it's much ado about nothing. But then when you listen to the Africans talking about how Africans talk about Black Americans, then you come to realize that Black Americans are not exaggerating. And Africans are speaking out more and more about this. And I think it's very important. It's very important for Africans to distance themselves from those Africans who have these opinions about Black Americans because, first of all, those Africans are very ignorant. They don't know what they're talking about, and they're assuming things about Black Americans that they don't know. They don't know our history, they don't know our evolution in America, and they don't have the understanding or the sense to try to find out. Now, I'm going to let you listen to Trevor Noah, of all people, speaking about how Africans speak about Black Americans, and that will let you know that what Black Americans are saying about them and the reason many Black Americans don't want to be associated with them are justified. So listen to this.
So, for instance, I would meet African immigrants who would speak about African Americans.
Oh, bad.
They would just be like, why don't they like they're like Republican
they're like
in their
mean
vibes.
white people.
Yeah,
Like, worse. Actually.
if we're honest.
Well, worse because
They don't
they're
want
entitled.
to. They don't want to work.
Yes,
Let me tell
exactly.
you something about Black
Dude,
Americans.
don't crack me up with this, bro.
They don't want to
I've
work.
heard this, yes.
They don't go to school.
Right.
They love to do crime.
All of these axes.
Why
are you wasting
They
these?
love to do crime. They love to do crime. Let me tell you something.
They love to do crime.
They are not African American. They're just American. I don't know why they put African. The way they are dressing, their pants, their trousers are falling. And you're like, wow, this is like full on.
Dude, I have relatives like this.
That's why I love the idea of having a school.
Yes.
Because what will happen to a lot of Africans, and I'm sure you've seen this, is a lot of those Africans who come in with like the respectability politics.
Yes.
One day they come up against the brunt of American racism in some way, shape, or form.
That's right.
And they're shaken forever.
Forever. I mean, I have also that point. I have an uncle, Uncle Manny. He's now passed, and it wasn't until his later years that he talked about. He lived in Minnesota. Lisa, my cousin Lisa, he raised her, and he talked about like being used because he realized that I wasn't angry. So he came in the '60s, had success as a corporate guy, but he was a token. And I don't want to reduce his life. I mean, he was a hardworking man.
I'm with you.
But as in his later years, looking back now with an understanding of the identity, he's like, oh man, I think they used me, like I think I was part of this game. And it really is.
Well, I didn't get the rest of that. That was the clip. But you get the idea of what Africans are saying that their own family members are saying. They come over here and allow themselves to be used. I do not blame white people for Black people being stupid. I have come to the point, no matter if it's Black Americans, if it's people from the Caribbean, if it's people from the continent, if it's people who call themselves Black Brits, I don't blame white people for their ignorance, because white people just do what white people do, and they can't be held responsible for every Black person in the world being stupid. They just can't be. When white people come here from Europe, from Belgium, from Poland, from Spain, from England, they don't come over here and pit themselves against white people, white Americans, and start finding fault with everything to do with white Americans. And there's plenty there. There's plenty of fault to be found with white Americans. But they don't come over here and do that. They come over here, and you're not going to even know that they're from another country, and yet unless they have an accent, or unless they tell you. As some of the pro-Black people say, they have a universal code. They come over here and get on code. The code is white supremacy. And they get on that code. And they don't have any criticisms of white Americans. They don't distance themselves from white Americans. And culturally, they are different from white Americans. But they don't come over here and make a big noise about it. They don't come over here bragging about anything of how much more they have than white people. White Americans now acknowledge that they gave up their cultures to become white in America. Now they acknowledge that. Some of them try to hold on to a little bit of it. They'll have like St. Patrick's Day, or they might have Columbus Day, where the Italians try to claim Columbus actually discovered America, and the indigenous Americans take issue with them. But for the most part, they just decide to be white and they leave the rest of it alone. They don't come over here acting ignorant, pointing fingers at white people and trying to elevate themselves over white people. Africans are talking about people not working and committing crime. Well, mighty funny, Black Americans are not the ones that get run out of everybody's country. Black Americans can go anywhere in the world and live as long as they want to. And they don't have immigration hauling them up in by the truckload and running them out of their country. Africans, especially Nigerians, and they are the worst. Nobody wants them in their country, and I don't even have to speak about that. I mean, in Dubai, they won't even let them come unless they're. I think they have to be 45 years old, and they got to have upfront money in the bank in Dubai before they would even let them set foot in the country. Now that's how bad it has gotten. Nobody wants them in their country. And that's how come I don't understand the arrogance that they have. Nobody wants Africans in their country. It doesn't matter if they're Nigerians, if they're South Africans, if they're Somalis, if they're Ethiopians, if they're, it doesn't matter where they come from. Nobody wants Black Africans in their countries. And they're even deporting the Egyptians. They're deporting all of them out of their country because they're Muslim and they're afraid they're going to come over there and start something like America that have its already ingrown terrorists. But they don't want them in their country. So I don't even know where they get the audacity from. But it really explains, but it really tells why Black Americans don't want anything to do with Africans. When you are that ignorant, when you are so unaware of yourself and your situation in your life that you think you have room to point at somebody else, that's a sign of very unintelligent people who have no self awareness and absolutely no understanding of how the world works. But I think it's important for Africans to speak out because I don't think Black Americans have any notion of standing down soon when it comes to delineating and not having anything to do with them. I don't think Black Americans have any notion about standing down. And if Africans say, well, we don't have anything to do with you, that's good. So when Black Americans know that you're here on an overstayed visa and call ICE on your ass, you'll understand. Now, obviously, all Black Americans don't dislike Africans. I don't dislike Africans, but I do have a problem with the kind of conversation just that we just heard from Trevor Noah. And he's telling the truth. There's no reason for him to make this up. And I don't think that any amount of Black Americans saying, if it weren't for us, you wouldn't be here, I don't think that resonates with Africans or Caribbeans. And a lot of this applies to Caribbeans too, but they're not as vocal as Africans. But anybody can get it. The reality is anybody can get whatever Black Americans are putting down now because the disrespect has got to stop. You're not in any position to come to America and run your mouth about anything. You come here, get your job, make your money, send your money back home or whatever you want to do with it. And the best thing for you to do is to keep your mouth shut because you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening. Have a good evening.